You probably see a lot of girls on social media in these beautiful high-rise apartments, and it just seems like they have their whole life together. I'm gonna tell you 9 out of 10 times they have debt, just like you. So I'm gonna tell you guys exactly how much money I make and exactly how much debt I have. I make $72,000 a year, a lot of which goes towards living expenses because it is expensive to live in the city. But on top of living expenses, I have debt. I have 2 credit cards. First one is at a balance of $4,865. Second one is $3,663. That's a little over $8,500 just in credit card debt. Just in credit card debt. Because I also took out an auto loan. My auto loan is $16,291. That's $24,819 in debt. I only say this because I feel like it's so easy to look at social media and compare yourself, but in reality, everybody is in the trenches, even if it seems like somebody makes more money than you or has their life together. They probably don't. I'm coming up with a plan to really attack my debt this year, and here's hoping that we can get through it.
Hi, my name is Casey, and I am in $150,000 of student loan debt. So if you don't already know, I am a physician assistant, and I graduated PA school with $260,000 of debt. I know, ridiculous. So that is combined with my undergrad. I went to Penn State, so a big state school, and my parents helped as much as they could, but they raised 3 of us kids, and I wish they could have afforded to pay it for our entire college career. And I'm so grateful that they helped in the way they did, but I did not expect them to pay in full for all 3 of our college careers. So from undergrad, I had about $100,000 of debt, and then in PA school, I accumulated another $160,000. And granted, yes, I was very irresponsible looking back. I took out the maximum amount of student loan money that they would let us live off of. They would give you an allotted sum each quarter to pay rent, pay for groceries. And, I was living large. I thought that money was just free money to me. I even went on a cruise during PA school with my friends. Obviously wouldn't regret and take back any of that because I had the time of my life. Let me tell you, I love PA school. I love the friends I met. I love the school I went to. I lived in Portland, Maine for 2 years. It was amazing. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But again, could I have been more responsible? Yes. Trying to pay down this debt, I've been a PA going on 8 years now. So I have paid down my debt significantly from $260 to $150. But the $150 still hanging over my head just seems nearly impossible and never ending to go away. I go back and forth between, do I want to live very frugally and lock myself up, not do anything fun, and just pay down as much debt as I can? Or do I want to continue to live my life and enjoy all the moments that I have in my early 30s right now? And again, in my 20s, I enjoyed every bit of my life. I have a 4-month-old now, so I'm starting a family. I plan to have more kids. It's just like the burden of student loans. I can cry. You feel lost, but I think TikTok's helped me gauge that I'm not the only one in this kind of student loan debt. I wish I made more money and I wish I could work multiple jobs, but that's just not feasible to my lifestyle now with a kid. It's crazy how when you're young, you're like, I'm going to be a girl boss. I'm going to have a badass career. I want to work my ass off. And no kid's stopping me from, not having that career in my future. But then you have a kid and everything changes. I want to be able to spend time with my kid, raise my child, not have to work countless hours in multiple jobs to pay my student loans off. It's just really hard. I have days where I'm motivated to work as hard as I can, to try to make as much money as I can. And then I have days where I'm like, none of that matters now. Because I want to spend time with my child. So it's really hard and just being like fully transparent with how much debt I have. And, one day it will be gone, but I don't want to be old when it's gone. I want to be young and still be able to have fun and enjoy it. So I'm sure a lot of people can relate on here to the student loan debt crisis and not making enough salary-wise to be able to pay off your debt quickly. In the next 5 years, I can pay another $150 off, but who knows what's going to happen in the next 5 years. So just figured I'd share with you for the morning. Hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll chat soon. Bye.
Do you want to know why I got in so much debt? It's because when I was trying to be a full-time influencer, I bought so much gear that I didn't need. Like, I bought this microphone for like $250. I bought a camera lens for like $2,000. I bought another like digital camera for like $2,000. Like, what was I thinking? I was living way into the future thinking that I can have all these brand deals to pay off all these credit card debt, but that never happened. So because that didn't work out, I had to get a full-time job, and since then I've been trying to pay off those balances until today. So the point of this story is, if you're a content creator, no, you don't need the next best camera, you don't need a new microphone, you don't need a lens, you just need to start posting. Or else you'll end up like me with $25,000 just alone in credit card debts. Yeah.
How I got myself $23,000 into credit card debt. I started dating a guy when I was around 12 or 13, and I dated him throughout middle school, high school, and into my early 20s. I'm not going to get into the super juicy details of this relationship, but just know that it was mentally, physically, emotionally abusive. And I am so, so grateful to be out of that relationship now. But I did make some bad financial decisions whenever I broke that relationship off 3 years ago. When I was in that relationship, I was controlled a lot, and I wasn't able to hang out with my friends. I wasn't able to travel. I wasn't really able to do anything, and that kind of led into my spending problem whenever I left that relationship. So I broke it off. I started doing solo trips out the wazoo. I was doing solo trip after solo trip, and guess what? I didn't have any money. I was working as a teller in a bank. I still work in a bank, but I've since moved up positions. But I was working as a teller, so I wasn't making much. And so in turn, I was putting it all on my credit cards because I wanted to have these experiences that I felt like I had lost out on. Does that make sense? I pretty much did the same thing over and over and over and over again. I went on so many trips. I fell in love with national parks and hiking. And eventually I found myself $23,000 into credit card debt. And now I'm on a mission to pay that off as quickly as I possibly can. I know what it feels like to feel like you're drowning in your credit card debt, your minimum payments, and a lot of the times if you have high credit card debt like I do, the interest rates are just eating up any monthly payments that you make. It sucks that I put myself in that situation, and if you're in that situation, all you can do is get yourself out. And if you only have one stream of income, like your full-time job, I highly recommend getting a second stream of income, which is what I did. For digital marketing is what I did for my second stream of income, and I am so happy I did.
Hey, let's be real. Credit card debt doesn't always make you an irresponsible person. Let's talk about it. Hey, my name is Elise, and I'm trying to pay off almost $12,000 in credit card debt so that way I can start a family later this year. When I first realized how bad my credit card debt was, I felt so ashamed and like I had really failed adulthood. You know what? Most people that I know in their 20s and 30s are carrying some kind of debt, whether that is a medical debt, student loan debt, credit card debt, just trying to survive debt. Like, I don't think I know a single person that's not in some kind of debt in my personal life. Having debt doesn't mean that you're bad with money, and it doesn't make you lazy, and it doesn't mean that you're irresponsible. What matters most about your debt is what you are doing right now to fix it. The shame that we hold around our debt keeps us stuck. It tells us to stay quiet. It tells us to stay hidden. It tells us to not reach out for support and struggle in silence. But when we talk openly about it, when we say, yeah, I'm in debt, but here's what I'm doing to work on it, here's what I'm doing to fix it, here's what I'm doing to get out of this hole that I'm in, we're taking back that power. So if you're carrying credit card debt right now, you're not alone, you're not irresponsible, you're not broken, you're building.
Okay, it's time I tell you about my debt. This is terrifying, honestly. I carry a lot of shame with this debt, which I think most people do. especially around school loans, because people have a lot of opinions about that, and I will explain the reasoning or lack thereof around everything that's going on with our debt. But drum roll, the big number is $627,528.29. Terrible. So the majority of that are school loans. My own school loans come to $266,427.79. I went to school for 6.5 years, 2.5 were grad school to get my doctorate in physical therapy. And then my husband has $581,378.69 in school loans. He did 8 years of school, 4 undergrad, 4 graduate, 4 chiropractic. So all that being said, the huge school loan ones are just so massive that, and they've always been there, that it's just, it's a huge burden, but it's also like we can't even include that in our debt payoff at this time, eventually. So if I deduct the massive government school loans and I keep just my small private one, by small private loan, it's $44,000, $189.42. So small compared to, you know, massive. So if we total my private loan, my car payment, credit cards, braces, medical debt, the total for that, which is the ultimate goal to really start paying down now, is $91,681.89. The stress that we live under is just a daily stress. Honestly, I don't even know how to explain how it happened. We lived out of our means. You know, we were starting off in debt. I chose private school. My husband chose private college. I was 18. I thought it was a great idea. Looking back, I'm 37. Wasn't a good idea. I can't change that. I will be paying them off. But the rest of my debt was our decision, and it was not a good decision. Living out of your means, taking on things that you can't take on, but other things are just, they come up. You know, summer camp and childcare and unexpected house things and yada, yada, yada. We didn't include our mortgage in this either. That doesn't count. So the $91,681.89 is the total that I'm running off of for my purpose here on TikTok, to try to make money and pay it down, starting with the credit cards, because that is not good debt. And I really, 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 really hope to cut a huge chunk of that down.
This is Lorraine. I'm 29 years old, and I looked at my finances at the beginning of the year and realized that I was $83,000 in debt and I needed to do something about it immediately. So I'm just going to be really open and honest about my total amounts of debt, and here is a debt breakdown. Since the beginning of the year, I have paid off close to $13,000, so I'm sitting at about $71,000 of debt right now, and I'm about to make a $1,000 payment towards my car. But here's where we're at currently. My debt is chunked into 3 amounts, and the first one is my student loans. I owe a little bit less than $10,000. I'm going to insert the exact amount up here. But my student loans I owe to family member. That is a huge priority to get that paid off, because owing money to family is just not it. My second debt is the solar panels that are on my house. I think I owe around $25,000 on that. And then the last one is my car, which I owe a little over $35,000 on. I have thought about selling this car because that is a huge chunk of my debt. However, I am a single mom and I have 2 small children, and so having a safe, reliable car does give me a lot of peace of mind. So I think that I'm just going to work really hard to pay it off, and then I'm going to keep it until it dies. Like, I can't fix it anymore. Like, I'm keeping this thing forever. So even though I'm $71,000 in debt still, I am really proud of the progress that I've made. I paid off my divorce earlier this year. I've paid off other credit cards last year. I have paid off like I was over $100,000 in debt a couple years ago, and I have paid off so much, and I'm so proud of myself. And I am really grateful for TikTok, because that is where most of my extra income has been coming from. So super thankful for the opportunity.
I have $70,000 worth of debt, but I have 6 credit cards and I still use them. And that angers a lot of people. Majority of my debt is my student loans, and then I have 1 personal loan that I'm paying off that I owe about like $5,000 on. So it's not like credit card debt. I'm not an insane credit card debt, and I do use my credit cards wisely. And what people don't know is I've had credit cards since I was 18 years old, and I have never, except for the past year, have left a balance on it and gained interest. I have always, no matter how much I spent, paid it off in full at the end of the month, except for this past year where I was unemployed and I still had to live and buy food and pay for bills. So that's what I had to use. So that's what I'm paying off. But other than that, I still am now to this day paying off the bill in full every month. And if you can do that, then you should have credit cards because they help your credit score a lot. They're great for emergencies. My cat had to have a $6,000 surgery and I was able to do it because I had a credit card with a line large enough to cover it. And I'm using them for things that I'm already buying and like gas and bills and such like that I am now getting cash back and free rewards because of it. So if you believe that you would be responsible enough to have a credit card and pay it off every single month, then I implore you to look and get one because it's very beneficial and could really help you in the long run.
I'm 22 years old and I have about $100,000 worth of debt to my name. About $52,000 is towards my car loan, while $24,000 is towards my credit cards, and about $8,000 is towards my student loan. Regarding my credit card debt, I chose debt settlement, so my balance used to be like $40,000 and they took away all interest charges and now it's only like $24,000. So I am actively trying to avoid bankruptcy right now. I don't want to file for bankruptcy at 22 years old. I know a lot of people are advising me to do this, but I just don't think that's smart if I can actually pay it off. Debt settlement was the best option for me for several reasons. One being it's more private. It isn't on your record the way bankruptcy is. Debt settlement does negatively affect your credit score, but it is usually less severe and the time span of it affecting your score is much shorter than bankruptcy. Debt settlement can also reduce the amount you owe, while with bankruptcy you might have to give up some of your assets like your car and like your jewelry. I think that if you have a larger debt balance than I do, then yeah, bankruptcy might be the right route for you, but in my case I am able to afford my debt settlement payments. I also feel like with the debt settlement route you are open to future business loans or future car loans, while with a bankruptcy on your report you're very unlikely to be open to those things.